you a hint. You guys are using it. Cosmetics. So yesterday I came to know one of the student is going for an interview, and she said, "Doc, I'm getting an interview from Chanel." How many of you know Chanel? It's a cosmetic company. So they have what something called as cosmetovigilance, and they are having, because people when they apply all this cosmetics and stuff, it gets absorbed through skin and it can have some adverse drug reactions, and that is the reason why we have cosmetic no, I mean cosmetic vigilance as well. I mean, not a lot of jobs are coming out of it, but recently I've seen one interview pop out of that. And again, it's a safety related thing. The reporting is the same. So there are subtle differences between medicines with drugs and devices in reporting. And as you can imagine, there is a difference between drugs and devices and vaccines. Vaccines, because it is taken by millions, if not billions of people. So it will have public health impact. Biologics, uh, biologics is a very challenging pharmacovigilance because every person reacts to a biologic in their own different way. You may not be able to compile all the adverse drug reactions just in the clinical trials. You got to do more in post marketing once your biologic is approved. So there are like some challenges in pharmacovigilance when you do biologics. So again, what I'm trying to portray here is every entity that you see on the screen here has its own pharmacovigilance. But what we are going to be learning in this program can be applicable to drugs, devices, vaccines, biologics, everything. It's universal across all these 6 or 7 products. But what we will do is we will have a different module. It's not a core module, but it's a module that you can watch at the end of the program. It's 15-20 minute module. We'll have one module on vaccine pharmacovigilance, one module on device pharmacovigilance, one module on biologic pharmacovigilance. So you kind of understand that what you're covering in the whole program is geared towards drugs, and any differences you're going to get in that one module, which will say device, vaccine, biologic, something like that. We'll name it, and we'll kind of do a 15-20 minute module. So you will see the differences. And I would recommend you to look at that module maybe towards the end of the program. So you will appreciate the difference between what is the difference between drug pharmacovigilance and all the other entities. Some of them are just pertinent to specific therapeutic area. Like for example, when I say biologics, we pretty much use biologics either in oncology or immunology. We really don't use it in any other therapeutic field like cardiovascular, respiratory, GI, GU. There are very less biologics in those fields because of the mechanism of action of the biologics. It doesn't serve the purpose in those therapeutic areas. Now, that being said, this is the first interview question. What is the difference between adverse event and adverse drug reaction? If there is, the definitions are great, you can read through the definitions, but from a practical standpoint, adverse event doesn't necessarily have a causative relationship, but adverse drug reaction has a causative relationship with the drug. So how I can summarize this statement is every adverse drug reaction is an adverse event, but all adverse events are not adverse drug reactions. Now, this is a very fundamental statement to understand. So I repeat it. Every adverse drug reaction is an adverse event, but all adverse drug reactions are not adverse events. Am I making sense? So how people have assessed this is they'll say that a pharmacist is reporting. This is practically what happened in an interview. There were 5 scenarios given, and the student was supposed to say, "Is this an adverse event or an adverse reaction?" The first question goes like, a pharmacist is reporting that the patient has ingested the drug, and the patient suffered from severe headache. Is severe headache an adverse event or an adverse drug reaction?
Adverse event.
Guys, I need participation. You guys are so silent.
Adverse